Hello readers, welcome back to PJL Books and welcome to today's Off the Shelf. Now today's Off the Shelf we're going to continue with where we left off last week, and this is part 2 of my little getting people to understand reading better and how to maybe get them to appreciate reading more. And part 2 I've decided to call Got Book? I'm terrible at making titles. So yeah, last time I took a shovel to the proverbial burial ground that is non-readers' reading habits, and I asked one simple question. Why? What is it about books that has made it the one source of information that folks will happily admit to not engaging with? While I came up with some theories, for example the nature that how we consume media is the big culprit rather than the swelling mass of it, the simple fact is that there are as many possibilities to that question as there are non-readers on the planet. And that is to say, loads. So, what can be done? What, if anything, needs to change to make it a more widely consumed and understood medium where people will gossip over developments in book series just as much as their favourite TV show or movie? Well, let's take a step back first. To say people should read more is to imply that they don't read enough right now, which is blatantly not true. People probably read more now than they ever have done, but again, it's all different. Rather than long prose, we're talking about news articles, Wikipedia pages, clickbait. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but all these kind of works are reactive reading, yeah? One that doesn't actively seek them out. You stumble across them online via Facebook and Reddit and the like, and it piques your interest. Now, with other forms of media, we get a balance of this reactive exposure with proactive exposure. With TV, and to a lesser extent movies, it's now very easy to be casually surfing the internet until a link you see takes your interest, and before you know it, you're hooked on a TV show. Yet at the same time, it's easier than ever now to be picky about what we watch and listen to. We have immediate access to all sorts of TV shows, movies and music that we could wish. We can proactively, in fact, seek out what we want, rather than wait for it to come to us, thanks to the advent of things like Netflix, Amazon Fire TV, and simply being able to record and watch your TV shows later. But where is this balance with books? A number of people may argue that they get sufficient reading out of articles and news online. But the problem there is that while there's a lot of visual and audio media that bears relation to one another, for example, YouTube isn't a million miles away from actual TV, and the music coming out of the radio is still pretty close to the music that comes out of your own music collection, articles online are wildly different from books. The structure, the purpose, and approach to reading and enjoying are so different as to be regarded as something else entirely, really. Where I'm going with this is that it would be nice to see more of these reactive reading pieces bear closer resemblance to what you can find in a book. More short stories, more flash fiction, more sharing and exposure to these type of things. This can be a much more effective, smooth step into full novels. And even if people don't find the time or place to go that far, then at least they've had some experience of fiction via reading or listening to it online. It's kind of what I try to do here on the YouTube channel and on my website, yeah? Now to all of this, you may be asking the first question again, why? Why is it so important to get more people reading? Again, I don't want to sound patronising when I say all of this, and I don't want to roll out the good old health and intellectual benefits to reading, because we all know this, and the same way we all know that we should be eating 5 fruit and veg a day. It doesn't say anything new, we know it, and it doesn't change anybody's mind. No, my thoughts on the matter are quite simple. Books themselves don't need to change to differentiate themselves. The way we consume media now has meant that books have now become the brand apart automatically, the entertainment form that's just that little bit different. And that could be a great way to get people to look at it. A great way books are different is the scale of immersion. A music album lasts about an hour. A movie can last about 2 hours. Video games can be even longer than that, but you can only really immerse yourself in them for shorter stints at a time, and the experience can get repetitive. Books, however, are in a different league entirely. They can last hours upon hours and always remain gripping. You can truly lose yourself in the world of a book and stay there for an extended period of time without it getting dull. Related to this is the fact that books demand your undivided attention. You can't be reading while doing other things, not even listening to music, I think. Other people find pleasure in listening to music while cooking or skipping between video game and smartphone. Now, some people may find that frustrating. I mean, the last decade or so has taught us that we should always be multitasking, doing more than one thing at a time. So books demanding your complete attention may sound like a turn-off. To that end, I say, see books as downtime. The time when we want to be off the grid for a while, away from social media and our constant connections. And these books give that respect back to you. What do I mean? Well, two things. One, because there's this sense of just me and the book, it feels like you're giving yourself more me time as well, rather than running to catch up with everyone else. As I mentioned last week, whereas it's impossible to indulge in a TV show that few else know inside out and has been dissected and discussed to death, with books it's much easier to pick up something more unknown, to keep the story to yourself. Look at Game of Thrones, for example. Prior to the TV series, you had just the books. Popular books, sure, but I guarantee that 95% of the TV audience now had no idea what Game of Thrones was until the TV show started. Now it's a veritable empire of entertainment, complete with internet memes, discussion boards, famous quotes, video games, parodies, the list goes on. And there's a lot of great stuff that comes out of that, and more people have snapped up the novels as a result. But something gets lost in the process as well. You're simply not allowed to enjoy Game of Thrones as an individual anymore. You cannot avoid being wired into the web of media surrounding it. One loses that sense that they can enjoy a story, reflect upon it, enjoy it however they wish, and leave it there on their own. No, everyone needs to make their voice heard on what they think you should be thinking. But with books, it's still easy to escape that, to find that solitude, to feel as though you're the only person in the world to whom these books matter. I haven't met anybody else who has read Heroes of the Valley by Jonathan Stroud, not even online. It really does feel like the book was just for me. I mean, of course, that's not true. That book sold quite well and is sitting on the shelves of thousands of people around the world. But it's very easy to retain that bubble of illusion, and it's a bubble well worth maintaining, I think, for making these stories feel singular, personal, and special. I cannot tell you what movies, TV and music I enjoyed in 2008, but I can easily tell you what I read back then, and I think this is one of the reasons why. So this is my idea of why books not only remain relevant, but can easily position themselves as being something different to the manic consumption of sharing media and enjoying it today. Books as immersion, as escape, as being more personal and separate. Something I think even non-readers will be able to appreciate. Books are just as exciting, fun, funny, and thought-provoking than anything else they enjoy, with all the added benefits of feeling that it's just for you. And who doesn't like that? And that's it for today's Off the Shelf. Thank you very much for listening, readers. The written version of this will be on my website, the link of which is in the description below, so please check it out. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.